Thank you. Thank you for that very warm and gracious welcome, and Matt, for your nice introduction. There are very few places on earth I'd rather be than Mount Vernon. And thank you, the leaders there at the Ripon Society, for inviting me, and thank you for your public service, what you're doing up on the Hill to serve your legislators and serve the people in your districts is extraordinary. It's a tough time for our country, and you're working hard to do really great things, and hopefully we'll be doing greater things after November. I want to introduce my wife, my first lady of 35 years, almost 36 now, Maureen, who's also here from Fairfax County. And I'm delighted to see the director of Mount Vernon, Jim Reese, and Susan McGill and the rest of the team all here. My mom worked here for 17 years, up until the time she passed away in '94. As you heard from Matt's nice introduction, I grew up here literally down the road. 50 years. My dad passed away, but we still own the house. And this is a incredibly special place. And I can't think of a better spot for you all to take a retreat, to think about what your role is, not just your day-to-day stuff on the Hill, but where you fit in to the future of the United States of America, and then coming to Mount Vernon, the home of our first president. I think it's extraordinary. He was a terrific man, and many of you probably have read about him, things he said, things he did. Man of incredible courage. I think a man appointed by divine providence to be that first general and to be that first president. You think of all the bullets that missed him from the French and Indian War and all that exploring he did of the Northwest Territory and everything else. Oh, it's not the Northwest, the territories up through the Ohio Valley, and he was protected for that time in 1789, I think, to be the first president, and did extraordinary things to get this country off to the start that it had. There's a great book on lessons in leadership by George Washington, written by the Mount Vernon director, Jim Reese. I hope you have a chance to read that. It's great reflections on President Washington and the things that he stood for, and the things that he believed that would probably be good lessons for anybody, whether they're in elected office or supporting a person in elected office. I think would be great for future. How many of you are Virginians? That's about right, about half of you. Thank you. Well, you know, it's a great state, the cradle of democracy, the mother of presidents. You know why? 4 out of the first 5, and a super place. We're real excited to some of the things that have happened the last couple of years to get us rankings of the most business-friendly state and some other things. But what I've learned over now 21 years in office, and particularly these last 2 as governor, and what they've asked me to talk about for just a minute, but I'm going to pause quickly because I want to get to your questions, is how important leadership is. You know, I think that's the biggest issue really in this presidential election. To me, it's leadership, it's fiscal responsibility, and it's economic development and job creation, protection of the free enterprise system. That's what this whole campaign, I believe, will turn on. And having a leader that really understands America, understand what our founders put in place 235 years ago, understanding that it's the free enterprise system and not big government that's responsible for American success. I mean, these are critically important principles, and ones that I hope, no matter what your job is in Washington, that you don't forget that. There's a couple other things I'd like to share with you. You know, part of being a leader, I think, is always doing the right thing even when somebody's not looking. You know, that's important for being a leader. I was interested in studying a little bit the life of Washington, but also hearing recently from Jim Collins. How many of you read that book, Good to Great? It's a great book. Just one? Shame. We should hand these out on the way out. You'd all benefit from that book. But it's that, and the new book by Jim Collins, Great by Choice, is a study of what differentiates a good leader from a great leader. What differentiates a great corporation from just a good corporation. And this maybe sounds simple, but after about 10 years of research by Jim Collins and looking at all these factors that went into what he calls the level 5 leader, the very top level leaders that are really driving American corporations or have had marvelous turnarounds, he concluded that the X factor was humility. How about that? Something you don't maybe see too much of in Washington from time to time, but it's It is exactly what makes the difference between someone who's a strong leader, because here's what he says is the difference. Everybody's got, that's a good leader with somebody that was energetic and ambitious, but there's a different type of ambition. You can be ambitious for your own personal gain and edification, and those people generally don't become the strong leaders. Or you can be ambitious and zealously advocating for the good of the organization and sharing the credit. Remember Reagan, amazing how many good things can happen if you don't care who gets the credit? Well, that was his point, is being ambitious for the good of the organization is a different type of leadership, and those are the people that really got the results. I don't think there's much more important that the American people are looking for right now than people that can get results. I call it results-oriented conservatism. We can have our strong, vibrant, conservative principles. We can talk about them, but you know what? Talk is cheap. If you can't get a budget done on time, if you can't get an unemployment rate under 8%, if you can't get us $15 trillion national debt starting to go the other way, it's cheap. It's cheap talk. So you got to talk about those principles, but then you got to put plans in action that actually get results and fix problems. And I think that's what people are looking for. They want a government that's working well, that's limited and wise and frugal, as Mr. Jefferson said, and then gets out of the way so they can use their God-given talents to pursue the American dream. I think that's what people are looking for in government, and why I think we've got a good chance to have some positive things happen in November.